Let's go ahead and get started. We only have 30 minutes for this session. It is recorded. It will be available later. And there's also a playback sometime in the wee hours of the morning that is available for our folks overseas. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeremy Pelly, and I am a product strategist inside the PeopleSoft team. And I cover quite a bit on the HCM side, but I also cover Oracle Guided Learning, which goes across pillars for the PeopleSoft side. I have joined with me, let me go ahead and switch over to the slide that tells who we are. There we go. Well, Marcus Bode from SPMC, as well as Cameron, is it McClurg?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pretty good at messing up names, so I wasn't 100% sure, from SPMC. And we're going to talk today about Oracle Guided Learning, also conveniently known as OGL. And so if you joined, I know that Robin Validum mentioned and showed a little bit about Oracle Guided Learning in the keynote that he did on HCM. I'm not sure if it was mentioned in any of the other pillar keynotes, but Oracle Guided Learning is a new offering from Oracle that is, again, it's cross-pillar. It's available across all of your PeopleSoft pillars and can be utilized within all of the PeopleSoft applications, as well as other applications such as our HCM Cloud and other cloud applications that we have. Okay. So I'm going to go through a few slides just to tell you a little bit about what Oracle Guided Learning is and kind of why this offering is being offered. I'm then going to turn it over to Cameron and Marcus, and Cameron's going to go through a demo of some of the functionality of OGL, and then either Cameron or Marcus, I'm not sure who, is going to wrap up with some of the offerings that SPMC has also to help you get started and to take advantage of Oracle Guided Learning. And so let's start with what is Oracle Guided Learning. So Oracle Guided Learning, some people are saying it's our answer to UPK going away. Some people people have said different things about what Oracle Guided Learning is, but really what Oracle Guided Learning is it's a way to get information and learning and processes out to your individual employee base or whoever's using your system. It can be whether that's an employee for HCM, whether it's a supplier for Supplier Portal, whoever that may be that's utilizing your system, whether it's an applicant for recruiting, and get that information for them to know how to do things within the system that either, one, they may not do very often, or two, there may be a lot of options that they can select, and you want to be able to make sure they select the right options, so you want to give them real-time feedback. It's real-time. It can be used to guide users through a process that can be complex, and like I said, not often, so think things like life events. You know, a lot of people can go their entire career at an organization and never have a life event. Some people may have multiple life events while at an organization. So it's something that you could say, okay, I want to learn how to do a life event, and it can walk them through it. It's a faster time to productivity. So think about, you would roll out new things as you're taking up PUM images and you're taking up new functionality from PeopleSoft. You can utilize Oracle Guided Learning to actually show what this new functionality is and get a faster time to productivity in it. And then it also allows for some analytics. So it can tell you how many of these guides are being used and if what you've produced is actually being utilized. Okay, so it is an in-application guided flow is really what it is. So Oracle Guided Learning delivers immediate value through the entire lifecycle and provides benefits that enable you to focus on priorities. That's basically what this slide says. But if you look at the picture over on the right, what it is in this example, it's literally telling the user to point. It's pointing to them, and it's giving them real-time feedback on here. Click here. In some of your organizations, you may find that you have a lot of tiles. If you utilize PeopleSoft across HCM, financials, and supply chain, your managers and or employees may have a ton of tiles on their homepage, and so this helps to kind of narrow down and kind of pinpoint people to exactly where they need to go. The good thing about Oracle Guided Learning is, like Oracle Digital Assistant or Picasso, it is a cloud-based product, that sits on top of PeopleSoft, or you could say on the side, but it basically layers a layer on top of PeopleSoft. So it doesn't interfere necessarily with the way PeopleSoft works, because it's not customization to PeopleSoft. It actually lays on top, and you actually define your guides, whether that's you or a partner working with a partner. You define the guides that are appropriate for your business. It's easily configurable, and it's easily maintained. So some of the benefits, I like this, some of these analytics that came from LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report, and that is that 68% of employees prefer to learn at work. 58% of employees prefer to learn at their own pace. And I think this is a really important one. And 49% of employees prefer to learn at the point of need. So let's look at these last two. So 58% at their own pace means that, they're not, our current workforce isn't necessarily looking for classroom training, isn't necessarily looking for to take a week off and go learn something in a classroom, or even a day or 2 days. They want to be at their own pace. And I think that the other thing is this 49, almost 50% here we have that wants it at the point of need. So the time of training somebody to do something that they may not do for a year or 2 years or 9 months or whatever, that kind of has gone to the wayside. Employees expect to kind of learn it as they need it. So if I'm needing to go do a process, maybe it's update an emergency contact, maybe it's doing the expense report. I've been isolated with COVID for 15, 16 months now, and I've never done an expense report with this company. So maybe I just need to go do the expense report, but I want to do it now. And so that's kind of the type of thing that Oracle guided learning can be used for. In the customers that we've seen that have adopted this, one of the big things that came out was this 1 point: fewer support calls and lower costs. Just the amount of times that whether it's your HR department, whether it's your help desk, just get those repetitive calls that are the same, and you can walk people through it in the same way. This helps to eliminate some of those things that are just repetitive in nature as well. Okay, so how does it work? I'm going to just show 2 screenshots here, and Cameron's going to go into a lot better detail. But basically, there's an editor, right? And there's a OGL editor, and this is a screenshot of the OGL editor that I'm logged in as. And it gives you the ability to create all these guides that you have. So these can be process guides, these can be messages, videos, any number of types of guides. And you go in and you click the guide, and it actually overlays on top of your PeopleSoft system. And you go and tell, okay, so if somebody's doing this process, I want them to click here, and I want them to type this, or I want them to click there, and I want them to type this. So it is actually an overlay on top of your existing PeopleSoft system. Okay. So the question always comes up about pricing, and this is probably the number one thing. And I'm not going to give you actual prices here. I know that everyone's excited and they think they're going to get actual prices. But we do have 2 options here, and one is a customer to cloud option, which is the people that currently have UPK. We can actually do something. It does require a 3-year commitment, but we can actually do something that's called customer to cloud. And this allows for you to shelf your UPK license and stop paying your maintenance support on your UPK license, and allows you to uptake the OGL license. And so you would also have the ability that if you choose to, you could actually go back to UPK if that is what you choose, even though UPK is going out of support. Sorry, my dogs have decided to start barking. Okay, and so that is an option there. The other option is for our net new customers, non-UPK customers, PeopleSoft customers who have been using more traditional approaches and haven't been using UPK. There's a list price that you can go to, and you can actually utilize. You can work with our reseller is going to be SPMC for this product, and so you can work with SPMC to get that, and they'll work with Oracle University to get that pricing and get that count. And it is based on a employee pricing, or basically the same way that you license PeopleSoft. So not all PeopleSoft is licensed the same way. Some of it's licensed by FTE if you're in the HCM world. Some of it's licensed by employee. Okay. So now I'm going to turn it over to Cameron and Marcus. So let me do this. I'm actually going to stop sharing my video. And Cameron, do you want to take that over?
Yep, I'm going to take over. I'm going to do a quick demo here. Let me switch the screen here. All right. Jeremy mentioned some of the use case for this, and I actually like to think of this as not just Oracle Guided Learning. I actually think this is Oracle Guided Processing and the reason I say that is because if you think about some of your users' transactions, they happen very infrequently. Those are the ones that need to be trained on, right? And the traditional path is like, hey, we need to teach people how to do these things. Honestly, I wish there was another graphic there, Jeremy, that we had that said, how many people don't actually care to learn this process? They just have to do something in PeopleSoft, whether that's change of a life event, or I have to put in this requisition one time a year, and I don't need to be an expert in how to put in requisitions. Can something walk me through it? And that's what this is: Oracle Guided Learning, Oracle Guided Processing. I'm gonna claim that name. So let me come in here, and I'm going to go straight into an HCM environment that has OGL turned on. All right. And let me log in, and this will look just like your standard PeopleSoft, but you'll notice, hey, here's a message that pops up, and this is totally configurable. I set this up as part of this demonstration to say, hey, welcome to the SPMC Oracle Guided Learning HCM environment. Click on the OGL widget to start learning. So right off the bat, I've got something that allowed me to pop up a message right on top of PeopleSoft. So again, it's not necessarily just a learning process, it's a way to communicate, it's a way to interact with users and guide them through something. Here in this case, it's a simple announcement, or it can be something that's pointing them to something in PeopleSoft. So here we've got a welcome message. I'm going to click on that. You'll notice this little widget over here that I can move anywhere I want on the screen. And this is the Oracle Guided Learning widget. I can click on this, and it's going to show me all of the different options. And these are built guides that we built and have in this environment. Okay. Now, when you go to License Oracle Guided Learning, you don't get preset scripts and preset processes. Okay. It's going to be a blank page. You have to go build them. Now, in this case, a service provider like us, we are an exclusive partner with Oracle on this OGL thing for PeopleSoft. We're going to help you build them right off the bat, okay? So we're going to build these scripts for you, and you will get these scripts, okay? Or whichever scripts you want to build. In this case, we have some sample scripts here that's going to show you how this stuff works. So the first thing I can do is I can click in here and say, I'm interested in updating my banking information. I type in bank, it automatically pulls up that I have an actual process to say, add banking details. I can click on that, and it's immediately going to take me in to a guided process to update my banking details. Now, I don't have to, as a person who's managing PeopleSoft, I don't need to train people on how to do this. I simply say, hey, go use the OGL, the widget. Just type in that you need bank information. You're going to go straight there. So it's going to tell me to click on this drop down. I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on Employee Self-Service. This navigated me down. I didn't move my mouse, but it actually scrolled me down to banking right here. It says select banking. I'm clicking on that. And now it says click add right up here. And I have a little bug here with my welcome message. Sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and click on add. And here it says, okay, complete the following required information. So I can add this overlay on top of what the normal transaction. Again, traditional model is I'm in this PeopleSoft, there's nothing guiding me through this. I need to now go reference this offline guide. Maybe it's on an intranet page, or maybe I've got a paper handout, but somehow it's not connected, it's not guiding me through this process. Here, this is, and it's a step-by-step process. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some banking information, go grab a bank. I'm going to type in a bank number. It's going to take me to the set, retype the same bank number. And I can click on next and say, okay, I've typed in my information. Go ahead and click on next. And it's going to say, okay, go ahead and click on save. I do save, and it understands contextually where I'm at in the process, and it says, you're done. This completes the guide. Everything here was completely configured and manually typed in. Somebody configured this specific guide being banking, okay? So let me come back over here to my home page, and one of the other things we can do is simply have a permanent, so you don't have to go look up a guide, those are called process guides. I can actually just come over here, hover over this manage self-service and go, oh, by the way, there's a pro tip. Did you know that you can create your own home pages, personalized tiles? So here's an example of a little permanent sort of pop-up message that I can apply to one area of the screen. When somebody goes over it, there's going to be a hover. It opens up this, say, hey, did you know something? If you want to do this, go ahead and click here. And you can, so I'm taking from one pop-up message, it's saying click here to do it. And it's going to bring me over to my actions menu to say, yeah, I can actually personalize the homepage. Click on personalize homepage. Now click on add homepage and so on. It's going to take me through. So it's going to guide me through that process. So I've got a permanent sort of message here that's going to point out something that I can do. Okay. One that I created here, which I think might be near and dear to most of our PeopleSoft customers' hearts when they move from classic menu to fluid, is they think that their menu is gone. I bet if I did a poll, you would all have dealt with that with your users. So I created a simple guide here to say, menu, where's my menu, right? Where's my menu? And it pops up a message that says, did you know the menu is still accessible, believe it or not? And most of your users are like, what? No, it's gone. You've taken my menu away. No, it's not. Click next to go ahead and find it. You click on next, and it's actually taking you right over to click on the nav bar. And then as I open up the menu, and actually I have a little bug in my thing, there should be a little beacon that's popping up right over here, pointing me right here to this menu, saying, here's how you do it. And here's where your menu is, okay? So again, these are simple guides that can be created. You don't need a ton of knowledge about how to do this, although training is very helpful. We are here to help you guys create these, and that's something we can talk to you more about. Lastly, I'll show you one more, just to show you what that looks like with that beacon. Hopefully this will work. Update my password. I have no idea where to go to update my password. So I'm going to click on that, and it says click on the nav bar. And here you see it's pointing you right. And there's that beacon that I was talking about. It's kind of pointing, it's bringing your attention right there to that menu. You click on menu. And since I was already in it, it was already expanded. And it says change my password. That takes me right in. And right there in that changing of the password, and if you're familiar with that screen, and I've got a little bit of a bug, and so I'll go ahead and do it, but I'll show you, even though there's a little bit of a bug on the screen, there's some kind of JavaScript error. Once it takes me through it, current password, okay, so I'm going to enter my current password. So check this out. Normally, what happens is, in this process of password, resetting your password, you put your information in, you change your password, and after the fact, it says, oh, did you know it doesn't comply with our password rules? So this actually is a way that you can actually put this in front of people. I type this into the guide, telling people, hey, you have to have an upper and a lower special and 8 characters. So it's a way to help people, prevent them to create a bad transaction and to be told after the fact that they created a bad transaction. That's the whole point here. We walk people through, we get them doing transactions the right way from the beginning with a fairly autonomous sort of methodology. So let me pull back pull back the curtain a little bit and show you kind of how this stuff works. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to close that. I'm going to come in here to Oracle Guided Learning. So I'm going to log in. Oracle Guided Learning is a SaaS application. Okay, so this is a SaaS. It sits out there in the cloud. Oracle manages it just like Cloud Fusion, Cloud ERP, Cloud HCM, all that stuff, right? This is a SaaS application. What it's doing, though, is it's connecting from that SaaS into my PeopleSoft environment. So you can see us as our account is SPMC, and here's our environments that we have it hooked up to, okay? Now, once you establish that environment, here are all the different guides that I've created, and I can create another one by simply creating new content. Let's take a look at the one that we just did, which was add banking details. So by clicking on this editor, what's going to happen is it's actually going to go and launch PeopleSoft. So it's going to launch PeopleSoft, and it's going to overlay now the PeopleSoft editor, the OGL editor on top of PeopleSoft. And it's kind of like a macro. It can track everything I'm doing. Here's my steps that it's doing. So the first thing, expand the dropdown. In fact, let me move this over so you can see it over here. So it says expand the dropdown, right? Second step, once you expand the dropdown, it's going to say select banking, okay? It's going to say expand the dropdown. You're going to expand the dropdown. You're going to click on the next step. I don't have all the steps here, but point is, this is a step-by-step procedure to create this guide, this path. One of the things that's really cool here that I'll point out is that it actually recognizes where you're at too. So let's say I was on a screen that didn't have that drop down of the main menu of, the different home pages. What it would do is instead of first telling you to expand the drop down, the first thing it would do is say, go home first. You click on home. Now you start back with the expand of the drop down home pages, and then you get back into the flow of these banking detail steps. So very easy to manage, very easy to set these things up. There's a ton of information, ton of detail here in terms of the display settings, activation settings, advanced settings. It's quite comprehensive. There's full guides on Oracle in the OU to help you understand how to do all this stuff, and we're here to help you as well. So with that, let me go back to the deck, and let's talk a little bit about what SPMC is doing here for you guys. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Jeremy, if you want to go back to the deck. And Marcus, jump in here anytime if you want to add anything. Well, let's talk a little bit about what SPMC is doing. So Jeremy, if you want to pull open the deck again, we'll go back in there. And if we've lost Jeremy, I can open up the deck myself. Let me.
He's probably taking care of his dogs.
Yeah, let me open up the deck myself here. It looks like we lost Jeremy.
Cameron, he made it seem like this was just kind of a one-time occurrence, but it seems like every time we're on the phone with him, it just happens to be the time when his dogs are barking.
All right, let me reshare my screen and come back in here 1 second.
I do have a question, and I know it's something that we're still discussing internally. But for those customers that are currently running UPK, right, and they've invested a lot of time and energy into the product, specifically into the creation of content, right? So, for example, we were speaking to higher ed, a higher ed customer in Australia that had about 400 UPK scripts that they were looking to convert. What would you say to them with regards to, what they should be thinking about, just in terms of, what the scope of effort would be to, to stand up Oracle guided learning and to migrate a lot of that scripts, a lot of that content over to OGL?
Yeah, I think there's no one path, but I will say that there unfortunately is no technical conversion of saying, hey, just run this process and we'll take your UPK scripts and convert them into OGL scripts. It's a manual process to open up those UPK scripts and start to configure them into OGL. I think, as you also can see, it's not apples to apples either. This is not UPK version 2 or dot X, right? It's not the same thing. And so really what we're talking about here is a redefining of what we want people to be able to do with OGL. It's not just UPK, right? So it's not simply one path. Now, if they put a lot of effort in UPK, they want to keep consistency. Of course, they can go down that path of taking one for one and trying to take those UPK scripts and bringing them over to OGL. But I would encourage you to kind of rethink it. I would encourage people to focus on the highest volume UPK scripts, the highest volume that are already in use, meaning your end users, the ones that are used by the most amount of people, the most broadest audience, not a core a group of an AP group or a general ledger group or a benefits management group, people that are in the system every day, right? That's going to be potentially a process. You could use it for those groups too. You're really going to start with your broad end users, people who get into the application once a month, once every 6 months, once a year for open enrollment, for example, or to create that requisition. So really going to focus on those guides and those scenarios first. One of the cool things about the OGL product is that it offers an analytics function as well. And you can see it right here. This is actually screenshots taken from Kaiser. And by the way, we just learned that Kaiser is doing a presentation at the same time as we are. So I would encourage you to actually, once we're done with this one, go cut over there and hear their experience. Now, their experience can be a little different because they were sort of pioneers in building this They had to use Oracle to build it all out with them. That's a different model than new customers. New customers will not be using Oracle. Oracle's not going to be building these guides for people. So Kaiser's experience is a little bit different from anybody else's experience that they're going to have. But go check it out, see what they've done with it. It's really cool stuff. And here you can see some of the analytics that are going to come from it. Analytics meaning I can look at a specific date, time span, see which scripts are being used, which ones are being effective in the sense that people are in there, they're following it all the way to the end, which ones are people dumping out of and it's not really working. Where do we have people constantly going to the same scripts? That might be something we need to apply a little bit more attention to, right? So the analytics function is a pretty important part of all this, and you get that built in as a dashboard into the OGL product itself. So lastly, I know we just have a couple of minutes left. I want to leave just a few minutes for some questions. So what is SPMC doing? So SPMC is the exclusive partner to do the licensing of this and the implementations, okay? So if you want OGL, you have to actually come talk to us. You can talk to Oracle, but they're gonna push you over to talk to us as well. And what we want to do is want to come in and talk to you about it. We want to give you maybe a more extensive demo, want to talk through maybe how it might make sense for you. We can run pricing for you and actually give you specific numbers. Jeremy couldn't in this presentation. We can give you specific numbers. So what we would start with is some simple planning. Look at what you guys are doing currently with the current modules that you want to build out. Maybe we look at your existing training material and see how much of that could be applicable into OGL. From a developer perspective, we move into sort of a needs assessment, which sort of says, okay, here's the specific ones that we want. It would be ideal to start with your PK scripts, but if you don't have that, we can start with job aids or other content. And we can start with a small proof of concept. Is this working? Can we build a few set scripts? And do we like this? Is this something we want to roll out as our organization? And then lastly, from a big rollout perspective, think about change management. Maybe leverage a small pilot group, before you get, expand out to a very large thing. Start small and expand. And then our managed service can then keep you up to date. We can actually manage those scripts as your PUMs come in. We can actually manage them for you. You don't have to use us for that, but that's an optional add-on that we can keep that going for you guys. So we're your pathway to this OGL, and we would love to talk to you more about it. In the meantime, I want to move on. I apologize that we only got a half an hour for this, and so I had to move very quickly. But there is a little bit more information on the information portal. It's a nice video feature overview that was Jeremy authored, and you can see that out there. Great video, 5-minute video. Go watch it. It just posted the PeopleSoft information portal. For additional information, really come talk to us. You can contact Jeremy, you can contact me. Mark's emails at the beginning of this deck as well. Feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to talk to you in more specific terms about pricing and what a potential pilot rollout might look like. With that, let's open it up to any questions. Do we have any questions? I hear Jeremy's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I apologize. If we have any questions, if you could use the chat inside the Zoom, it would be a little bit easier, or raise your hand.
So like I said, I encourage you to go maybe even watch the Kaiser one on the recording. You'll see what a big implementation of OGL looks like. So I encourage you to do that. Get their perspective on. Just note that their perspective is a little bit different than what you will go through, because you, as another customer, won't be able to leverage Oracle's services to actually build out the scripts the way they did. So just wanted to point that out.
All right. I want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank Marcus and Cameron for their help in this. And again, if you have any questions regarding OGL, please reach out. You can reach out to myself, jeremy.pelly@oracle.com, or you can reach out to Cameron or Marcus, and we will definitely get you in touch with the right people, and we will help to get you pricing and everything that comes kind of around the Oracle Guided Learning offering. All right. Everyone have a wonderful day, rest of your day, and a great conference tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.